Hey folks, it's us, podcasting wonderkins John Bishop and Lucas Southworth.
Although this is a podcast about cars, it is not age appropriate for the target demographic of these films, as we usually end up talking about the reproductive organs of Lightning McQueen.
Alright, now let's take a look under the hood. Faster than a speeding bullet train, equally powerful than a locomotive, not able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, down on the ground. It's not a bird or a plane, it's Superman, but a train!
Hello and welcome to the Chat, the only podcast brave enough to try that bit out.
Yeah. John wanted me to do that, so I did it.
Yeah, so I'm John, he's Lucas, and
It's true.
this week we're talking about superheroes.
Yeah, like John said, we're the only podcast brave enough to try that bit, as well as being the only podcast not sucked into a dark vortex of magic, as scientists are now calling it, which means our names have been cleared, I guess, but magic's real, and that's where all the other podcasts are. That's
this is
concerning.
probably not the best time to bring this up, but
Yeah.
only one of our names has been cleared. It turns out that the source of the magic is evidently from this podcast.
Yeah,
but,
I was going to bring that up.
But they don't know who is starting it. But I will say that I know for a fact that my name has been cleared. And I don't edit the podcast.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to go... I sort of let our lawyers off the retainer, so I'm going to see if I can't cancel that. But since we're the only podcast, we are the only podcast brave enough to ask the question, hey, what's up with cars? So, yeah, John, sorry, we're talking about superheroes in the Carsverse, I guess, this time. Yeah, John, we were going to do a different thing, but then that sort of fell through. And I texted John and said, what are we going to do? And he said, supercar? And I was like, okay, whatever, sure. So I'm going to let John take the reins, since this was his idea.
All right, so I was having a conversation with my lovely wife, and when we were talking about this, we were trying to think of...
John. My wife.
I'm so sorry, of course. I was having a conversation with my wife, and...
Thank you!
And we were talking about just names for superheroes in this world, and I came to the conclusion that pretty much you just replace man with car, and that's it. Because it immediately became,
whatever
she said, like,
they are.
The green car. Like, no, you're talking about Green Lantern, and lanterns do exist, so that's the same. Yeah. And then it's like, well, Wonder Woman. Well, no, that's like the fact that she's a woman is about empowerment, so like we can't change that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just you replace man with car.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening this week. This
has been the Chat.
It has. But what, did you have other things you wanted to talk about vis-a-vis superheroes in the Carsverse? Hopefully, John?
A lot of things, but that's just to get us started. But I was thinking, okay, so it's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman. He could just be a plane. And it gets you thinking about the fact that a lot of these superheroes, their power is like, oh, they're much stronger than a man or much faster than a man. And if you're a car, yeah, you are. You're just more.
Yeah, and I mean...
So what do we think superheroes would be like in this universe? Because they're going to have to change a little bit more significantly, I would hope.
Yeah, and even if we want to do like... we always talk about like there's sort of like... Most of the population is just like normal cars, yeah? Mm-hmm. But there are other vehicles, like a bulldozer, which I guess in my mind I would say that's stronger than a car. But like that, there are also like a bunch of bulldozers are bulls, but you get the idea. Like construction equipment that would be sentient that I would consider to have super strength compared to a car,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure I would call them super powered since there are so many of them.
Yes, they're like a normal run-of-the-mill thing. And then just the power of flight is a thing that a lot of people
That's just
can
the thing.
do.
Yeah. To differing degrees of like speed and maneuverability
Mm-hmm.
again, but that's just like as a thing. That's the lots of people can. Not everyone. So it's
And
uh,
you can get
an
more and more
ability.
extreme with it. Like, okay, well, what if a car was like bulletproof? Well, that's kind of a thing. We've got vehicles that are essentially bullet resistant enough to not worry about it.
So it seems like we have to get a little further from Superman, basically, and his well, I would say his laser eyes and his like
Ice breath.
cold breath, yeah, ice breath, yeah. I
He's got
guess we
laser
could
eyes.
talk
He's
about
got ice breath. So he
got
is a
super
vehicle.
ventriloquism.
The thing that's special about him is he's a vehicle that's plain and average looking, while also a titan of a man, and
Yeah.
somehow he's able to do things that he shouldn't be able to do. So, yes, he can fly, but he does not have wings. He does not have a propeller. He's just a car that can fly,
Hmm.
and even
Okay.
Mater can do that.
Yeah. I was about to
But
say that sounds like one
let's take
tomater.
Mater out of the equation because he is clearly at least a demigod.
Yeah, we're gonna have to bring Mater back into the equation at some point in this episode. I hope you know, but we can take
Absolutely.
him out for now.
Hmm. So there's that. He's got more powers. Like everyone knows of Superman's more famous abilities, like being able to make tiny versions of himself and super ventriloquism.
I said
Uh,
that one, but John spoke over me. I knew that one, just for the record.
did you say that one?
Yeah, earlier, but you were talking.
Well, super ventriloquism, because why
Yes,
not? The ability to
sure.
eat all of the burgers, a great cover.
Doesn't he split into two and get electric powers at some point?
Yes, he's
Those are
got
the same event that I'm not conflating two different events.
he splits into two multiple times.
Okay,
It's
I'm not
it's
gonna.
strange.
We're
Okay,
not
so
going to.
those are separate events, but I also believe there is an event that is both of those things.
Okay, sure.
The
Why
90s
not?
were weird. They figured, okay,
Yeah.
people don't like this Superman cat because he's too, like, I don't know, boring. His powers are played out. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna give him new cool 90s powers, like he's electric now instead of everything else.
And he's red and blue in two people. That's what I was
He's
thinking of specifically.
For the most part, he is just blue, but there is a red and blue Superman on, I'm pretty sure, multiple occasions. And one of those
Gosh,
times may have been Electric Superman.
it must be hard to have like a story whose continuity goes back like 80 years.
See, that's one reason
And
why I
I mean,
really like
obviously the
DC.
continuity doesn't actually go back that far because they've reset it 80 times, but
That's one thing I like about DC is that they acknowledge that, okay, comic books are ridiculous. We
yeah.
can't just, I don't know, keep going. Because if we did, Superman would be Jimmy Olsen's father, and that would be weird, and we would just have to
Sure
accept
would.
that forever.
So every once in a while they have the Flash do some nonsense and then bada bing, bada boom. Let's start from scratch, boys.
Whereas
Sometimes it's Dr. Manhattan.
in Marvel, what they do is they just, okay, so if we want it to be really crazy, we're going to have it be a different universe. And if we want it to be really crazy and in the main universe, we're just going to have to justify it in some ridiculous way, like, oh, Peter Parker, he's no longer relatable because he's been married for 30 years. So let's have him make a deal with Satan, which he did.
No, yeah, you're right.
He
I didn't
did.
know that. I assume you're correct, but yeah,
Well,
sounds
I
like
will
some
say
nonsense Petey would
it's
get
not
into.
it's not Satan per se, it's Mephisto, but it's Satan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Our our show is about a series with what 10, 12, 10 to 14 years continuity at this point and how it trips over itself a lot
We've
and is
got
inconsistent and weird.
we've got 5 movies, and I would say we have an entire comic book universe worth of inconsistencies per movie.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Oh boy.
They shouldn't
All
have made
right.
Cars alive. Is basically our point. The point of this show. They just shouldn't have done that one.
That one, maybe they didn't think about it all that much, which I guess fair, but also we're not going to let you have it.
Yeah, like it worked. It's an
Okay.
incredibly profitable thing. But what do you
So
got for me,
let's
Johnny?
let's make a generic list of like some superhero powers that cars can have, and it wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, cars sometimes can do that.
Okay.
We've got laser vision, we've got
Uh,
ice breath.
yeah. Green Lantern. What, like hard light constructions? I guess
Yeah.
is the term for that.
Energy constructions, yes.
Like intangibility, like Martian Manhunter stuff,
Okay, I like that. Yeah.
as well as shape shifting.
I'm just
They
gonna
can
go ahead and
shapeshift,
say
but they have to do it slow.
they're Transformers then. Uh
Yeah, okay.
I will say just magic, I guess. But even then,
Yeah,
like they can wave their hand and technology will do things for them. So that's kind of magic.
I don't know, man. For some reason, my mind is going like Super Scream, like Black Canary.
I mean, no, that's a thing that
They are
some vehicles
technology,
can
yeah.
do.
Okay. I went over to Marvel, which is a mistake. A lot of theirs are pretty basic.
All right. Healing yourself, that's a good
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
But
in the X-Men, that's a good weird ones.
teleportation.
Yeah. Ooh, stretching like Reed Richards and the Elongated Man, etc.
Can we talk about the fact that uh Cyclops, those aren't lasers?
Concussive blasts. They are.
Yep.
Let me see if I can get this. When he shoots his eye beams, he is actually opening a portal to like a dimension full of like concussive force that is letting out what look like lasers, and then they just hit like a punch, but a big one. Is that pretty much it?
Yes.
Man,
His
gosh,
eyes
I love
can
comic books.
his eyes punch people.
Yeah.
And to justify how this kinetic force that is red is able to melt things like lasers, it hits it
Mm-hmm.
on a subatomic level that just causes the matter to vibrate in a way that causes it to convert to thermal energy, which turns it into heat. Like radiation, like lasers do.
John, they've done the science. They have top scientists at Marvel telling him that gamma radiation will turn you into a big monster, but only sometimes.
Well, it's pretty much never except for the one time it did. And then
No,
the
you're only
eight
the
people.
monster sometimes, is
Oh,
what I'm
okay.
saying. Not, yeah.
So the Hulk was an anomaly and should never have been able to happen, but theoretically, I guess it could have, except for the whole he gets bigger and has more mass, which is weird.
So being the Hulk, that's just the Hulk.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like, there is science supporting some of that. The sum of it being
Sure,
that
why
gamma
not?
radiation can like alter and damage your DNA in a way that can mutate you. It's just never going to be a good thing.
Yeah, it's no cool parts will happen. Don't go gamming waterfalls, basically.
Just keep on to the rivers, streams, and streets that you're used to.
Yeah, that I guess worked as a reference. But
Getting bigger. Vehicles can't just gain mass.
invisible.
No, they can do that.
They can stealth. They can't invisible yet.
I'm sure they can. I am sure they can.
They can do like the technology stuff that sort of works, where they have the screens on one side and the cameras on the other. That like sort of works as invisibility, but they can't true invisibility, is what I'm saying.
But they can hologram and make Mater into 5 different completely bodies.
Yes, in the Carsverse they can. I'm saying just like normal cars can't.
Oh, normal cars can't. Ah,
Yeah,
yes.
normal vehicles, like we were saying.
I don't know why, but I got confused by the fact that, oh no, it can happen in the Cars movies. But no,
That's kind of what.
normal cars in our world can't really be invisible, even if the cars in Cars can, meaning that even our list doesn't make sense in this universe.
No, yeah, it is sort of a hard thing to do. That's something I do want to get into, though. Is we've seen some examples, like we were saying, of things that don't really happen in our world, but like could be superpower adjacent at the very least in the Carsverse, mainly being the technology used in Cars 2 by the spies.
Mm-hmm. And also, lightning being Thor.
Yeah, I did forget about that in what was it, Tokyo Mater
In
in
Tokyo
the Tall
Mater,
Tales? Yeah, okay, he does teleport.
he
And okay,
teleports
that one.
because of the power of lightning,
Yeah.
which Thor is the god of
Uh,
thunder, so I would
yeah.
say lightning's probably more powerful.
Yeah. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
who would win?
Thor or Lightning with his stupid lightning powers from
Yes,
Tokyo Mater? Is that?
absolutely. That is the fight that I'm trying to get to happen right now.
I don't know, man. Lightning seems very powerful in that little short. Yeah, gut is telling me Lightning McQueen, which is wild.
See, here's the thing. If you watch the first Thor movie, hands down Lightning McQueen.
Mm.
I'm talking
From
pre and post Thorification.
Yeah, honestly,
Because
Ragnarok on, he gets pretty powerful though. John, are we just gonna talk about movies that aren't really related to cars? Is that why he said
I want to
this?
talk about superheroes fighting cars.
I could have seen this coming. I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna say Lightning. What do you say? I'm gonna stick with Lightning, even post Ragnarok
All
level
right,
Thor.
post Ragnarok, I'm gonna give it to Thor,
Sure,
but I
why
I'm
not?
very tempted not to, because I gotta say Thor uses any amount of electricity. He's just gonna do what he did in Avengers and like power him up more.
Yeah, he just sort of has to chop him with his big cool axe that he got. That's part Groot.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and who knows this demigod lightning? We've only seen maybe 30 seconds of his powers, so we don't have a full spectrum or
Very true.
power level reading that we could do on him. So it's the science just isn't there. We need to see more powered, super powered Lightning McQueen. Cars 5,
I mean,
basically.
have we not? Oh no, we did Cars 4.
We
Man,
did Cars that.
yeah, we did Cars 4. No, I thought Cars 5 was going to be the really religious one where they go see the manufacturer.
You did say that. So Cars 6. So what we're going to do,
I don't know if we could make it God of War.
that's fair. I just want to lay out our trajectory of Cars movies is like a fairly grounded, like sort of like Cars 1, just a race, blah blah blah. Cars 2 gets a little fantastical. Then Cars 3 is even more grounded. Our Cars 4 is incredibly grounded, low stakes, very interpersonal. Cars 5 gets a little like gets very heady, but maybe not like fantastical. Then Cars 6, we're like, nah.
We're going to Ragnarok
This is the
this.
Avengers now.
Cars 5 is going to be a fever dream of a movie where everything that has ever been confusing about Mater is just dialed up to 11.
Love it.
It's going
Avengers.
Avengers.
That's the title. We got it.
The
Fantastic. Keep
Avengers.
going.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna start it off with just your classic. Mater gets abducted by aliens, and
Sure.
then he free. No, Lightning. Of course, Lightning gets abducted by aliens, and Mater has to save him, and that
He
involves
knows
him
the
going.
aliens.
He has to go to like some mysterious old vehicle to learn how to channel his divine powers. But what's that trying to stop him? The the vampires.
Challenging stuff, John.
Mm-hmm. And
Real
who
challenging
does
stuff.
who does he have to recruit? The he has to recruit Davy Jones and Davy
Oh,
Jones'
from
locker and
from
like
boats, the search for
8 different
McQueen.
boats that are all just essentially Davy Jones and his ship, the Flying Dutchman, and apparently his locker, which is also a boat. And it's going to be boats. The search for McQueen. It's just going to be a tie-in with that, and then we're going to have to branch out and make more diverse movies. Like, oh, well, this one's just about straight up a motorcycle who's a vampire who is actually only half vampire somehow, and he hunts down vampires.
Is that Blade?
That
Is
is
that where
Blade.
you're going?
That is Blade.
Okay. I didn't realize. I don't know much about Blade, but I didn't realize he was half vampire.
Yep.
Fascinating stuff.
I think his mother was bitten while she was pregnant with him.
I guess that works. I don't know. Sure, why not?
He's a daywalker because he's only half vampire, which means he's only like half as good at being a vampire and still like drinks blood, I guess, but also can walk in the daylight.
I could go for that. Yeah. Get like some strength, some
Mm-hmm.
invulnerability, but like not a lot of the drawbacks.
Your diet does have to change to you have to at least half of your diet be blood.
Hmm. Don't like that, but I could make it work.
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna be a vampire now. Half vampire. My bad.
Nice. And I'll be a werewolf, which I don't know what that would be in the Cars universe.
Okay, I guess we could talk about that. Werewolf.
Let's
What would
bring
they
it back to
transform? What would be?
let's bring it back to superheroes for a minute. And in like the 80s maybe, they were trying to create a character, but they realized that they weren't allowed to use like the Wolfman or a werewolf. So what Marvel did is they made someone who is a were pterodactyl.
Fantastic. I love it. Keep going.
So
Wear a dactyl. Keep going.
so what if it's like a car that Lucas, I was just about to propose a
It's
character who already
Franz.
exists. It's
Gosh,
Franz.
darn it! It's always Franz.
It's always Franz. Every full moon he becomes a plane.
But he has some control over it, so he's a super. Dang it, Franz is a superhero.
Franz
Okay.
is a superhero for sure. Because that's the
Okay,
thing.
so
In this universe, like the superheroes exist, but they're also just like the people who are really, really rare, like someone who is able to go from being a car to just being a plane.
yeah, and that actually, you saying that superheroes exist in this universe, actually sort of leads into the. I don't know. I can't remember if we got submissions for the wiki quote title this week. I don't think we did, but I didn't look before the episode, so if you submitted one, sorry, submit it again. Quote of the day. Don't submit it again. Just I'll look next time of the day.
Give me that don't submit it again of the day.
Sure, bud, you got it. This time we're going over to worldofcarsdriving.fandom.com/wiki/the_incredimobiles. The Incredimobiles, or The Incredicars, is a Pixar animation factory movie. It tells about superheroes which protect their city, but sometimes the situation is very difficult. Fortunately, the Incredimobiles are very strong. So
that's it.
Yeah, that's most of there's like it appears in Radiator Springs and on a poster in Paris. The Incredimobiles is a parody of the real life Pixar superhero film The Incredibles. There I read the entire the entire wiki page there, which I like to do. But yeah, the concept of The Incredibles, the movie at the very least, exists in the Carsverse. There's a poster in Cars Land, which is actually part of a picture that is our Twitter header. And they also apparently there is a poster for Les Indestructibles in Paris in Cars 2.
So they're not incredible; they're indestructible in France.
Yeah, I guess. I took 2 years of French, and I assume indestructibles means the instructables, the indestructibles. But I guess I don't know that.
I mean, you say that, and then I just have to like remember the fact that the word marron does not mean maroon; it means brown.
It does, in fact, mean brown. I did remember that one. Yeah, the French are bad at language. Sorry if you're French and listening to this.
I'm just sorry if you're French.
Oof, coming for their throats. But one more thing I do over on the Mr. Incredible page on this Cars Wiki, there's just a little disclaimer up at the top that I just really, really love. It says Mr. Incredible, then right underneath it in italics it says, "This article is about the car. You may be looking for the human." And then it links to a different wiki page for, the one who's actually in the movie. No, it doesn't even link to anything. I clicked it. A, a page for Mr. Incredible in parentheses human does not yet exist, which makes sense. It's a Cars wiki. But yeah, that's my quote.
Okay.
But I just wanted to bring that up to point out that the concept of superpowers does exist within the Carsverse. Like, it's not something that would be foreign to them.
Okay, that's fair. And I'm just doing a check real quick, and Nope, no French listeners. We're good. All right.
Fantastic. We can say whatever we want. Number one fan
Yeah.
Faith. Does she still have a distaste for France? She did for a long time.
Oh, I do not know. Like, in case this isn't like in case you don't know that I'm joking, I don't actually mind France at all. I wanted it to be a funny goof. Does she actually dislike France for some reason?
I think it was also a bit. I don't know. I don't know. She
Yeah.
either had a bit or some genuine distaste for France, and maybe still does. Let us know, number one fan Faith. I guess text us, and we'll give you all an update next week. Faith doesn't like France still or not, is
I
I
mean,
guess what our show has become.
if there's one thing I can say about Faith and her bits, it's that even if they start off as a bit, they become real very quickly. Like, you know, the phrase, "Suh, dude."
Ah, she loves it. Okay, well, so in The Incredibles, there are four main. Well, there are lots of superpowers, but let's stick to the Parr family, I guess, or the Carr family. Uh,
Oh.
for right now, I got a million of them this week. They are super strong. Have invisibility and force fields, stretch, and super speed are their four powers.
Okay.
I get, as we've said, super speed, super strength. Those are easily replicatable by cars. But what I'm getting to, how does the car stretch?
How does car stretch? Well,
Yeah.
the same way that Mr. Fantastic does. Did you know that Mr. Fantastic's body just behaves as if it were made of rubber?
Well, it doesn't, though.
But it does,
That's not how
though.
rubber is.
Yep, but it's rubber.
Rubber
The
car?
answer is simple. Rubber car.
Okay, that's sort of where I thought you were going.
With
Which,
the
like,
power
I
of
get.
radiation from space, you can turn him into a rubber car.
And, like, there's going to be a degree of, like, humans can't stretch. So, like, cars stretch in the same way humans stretch somehow through nonsense science, which is a pretty good point that I don't really have an answer to. Uh,
Mr. Fantastic.
man, we are on fire. I'm gonna keep it the A-Van-gers because they have a bit more name recognition than
Yep.
the Fantastic Four. Honestly, I just wanted to bring that up because the stretchy car looks weird, and I want you all to have the image of a stretchy car in your mind.
Okay, so we've got stretchy car. What about like Spider-Man?
Sticky car, swingy
Sticky
car,
sticky wheels, sense of
Mater,
danger, and able
Hook.
to produce webs.
Well, not only in Tobey Maguire and the comics that came after Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man could he produce the web himself. He
Miles
just
Morales.
scientifically made it. Does Miles Morales produce it in his body?
Uh,
Huh.
not in the most recent movie,
Not
but
in
they wanted
Spider
him
Verse,
to
yeah,
be
but
like a little bit more uh biological. So he's got this weird venom touch. That's the weird electricity thing that he can do in the movie.
hmm.
And I
Okay,
think he might be able to produce like creepy spikes. I don't know about
man.
that.
Miles
Yeah.
has way better powers than Peter.
Yeah, it's like with Peter, they experimented sometimes and they would like turn him more and less spider. So at one point he had certain powers and then they tried other things with like Spider-Man 99 and whichever powers they really liked, they just gave to Miles.
Which fair. Miles
Mhm.
is a cool Spider-Man.
He is a cool
Uh,
Spider-Man.
but
All right.
you fully glossed over. I really want Spider Car to be a tow truck. Like they can still, like the rope can still be Spider whatever. But I want it to be doing that because then they'll even look sort of like a spider because it'll be coming out of their butt. And that's pretty funny to me.
There's no reason for it to be any different. Let's face it, Mater is currently Spider-Man. He even
He's a
has a
Spider-Man.
sense of danger of things coming up from behind him that no one else has as the world's best backwards
World's
driver.
best backwards driver. Yeah,
So
okay.
Mater is already Spider-Man.
He's a Spider-Man. Major P Spider-Man. Okay. Challenging stuff this week. I
All
do
right.
want one thing we've actually talked a little bit about superheroes in the Carsverse before. I want to say in our sports episode,
Is it
but who can
Cyborg?
say no? Although a good point, you brought up what the Batmobile would be like. The Batmobile would just be Batman in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
For
And we,
sure.
we went on a few tangents of maybe Superman then would be the rocket from Krypton, and Wonder Woman would be her invisible jet.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that was a fun thing we said. And it's our superhero episode, so I wanted to bring it up again, see if we could take that any further.
Now, what are we going to do about the Flash?
Yeah, okay.
He's just a regular car that happens to be able to drive much faster than anyone else.
And I mean, when we say much faster, like the speed of light, faster than the speed of light in
Able to
some
warp
instances.
time and space to suit his desires, even though he never does it in a way that is advantageous.
Yeah, he's only able to do time stuff sometimes. He's bad at it. The Reverse
Mhm.
Flash is much better at time stuff. But yeah, I think he's just a car that goes like way too fast.
And
Which, like,
that's great, but what
yeah,
if he's a car that goes way too fast and he doesn't have the anti-friction shield as good, so he still has to deal with the thing that the guy in Cars 3 did, where just bugs constantly in his eyes.
which, as we discussed last week, maybe children. Probably not. I don't really subscribe to that theory. I just thought it was weird and bad and the kind of nonsense we like to get into in this show.
Absolutely.
But yeah, okay, Flash is just very fast car. Love it. I
Aquaman is just like a submarine, I guess, that
submarine who
somehow can be on land.
submarine with that some wheels got on.
A
Who
wheeled
can
submersible.
yeah. Uh, I think Iron Man might just be Iron Man without a person in him, like not even a car shaped. I don't know. That doesn't make sense, but that's what I want him to be, I guess, is more what I'm saying.
I think Iron Man is just a forklift that gets into a vehicle that is a car.
Oh, no. Yeah,
Not a
okay.
sentient car. He just gets into a car
Yeah.
suit.
Huh.
And you can say something like, "Oh, that's going to be gross and morbid because he's like putting on a costume of a different like race or not." But I mean, if you think about it, Iron Man is putting on a suit of armor that is basically human shaped. So we can just assume that there will somehow be a difference and it won't just be a car body that he's putting on.
I want the forklift to get into, like, I want it to be humanoid so bad. And again, I know that doesn't make sense. Why would it be humanoid? But
Can
I really want it to be a big humanoid robot that
can
the
we agree on
forklift gets
something weird
into.
about this?
Why not? Sure.
I'll say I think he's a forklift that gets into a car armor suit, but that car armor suit has a Hulkbuster form that is just a humanoid.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Also, suit of Karmer. Come on, John.
suit of Karmer. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's probably just going to look like Megas XLR.
Which everyone knows what that is, John.
Do you
Thank
not know
no
what
need for
Megas
further.
XLR is?
Are you saying Mega Sex LR?
I'm saying Megas XLR.
Okay, still don't know what that is, but it's better than whatever I was thinking. Please tell me whatever that is.
It's about like a weird junkyard neckbeard and his super thin like uh best friend. They just find an extremely advanced piece of alien technology it's just a Gundam, and because like one or two things of the console is broken, like the controls, they destroy the entire console and replace it with a car. And it's just a fighting
Fantastic.
it's a fighting robot with a car for a head.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking at some pictures. I could get behind this. Yeah.
And that's Iron Man's Hulkbuster suit.
Yeah, I dig that.
Which makes me think that for the Hulk, he's going to be a reasonably sized car that just becomes a giant humanoid.
It would be advantageous for them to have fists with which to punch.
With which to smash.
Yeah, I apologize.
I mean, you could say something like he becomes a wrecking ball, but I don't know. He's supposed to be monstrous, so maybe he just becomes the Hulk.
And we have seen, if we don't want to make him humanoid, we have seen a couple of examples of what he could become. I think both in weird little shorts.
Mm-hmm. Like he could become the monster truck.
Yeah, like in the Wrestle Mater's Tall Tale, there's a big monster he could become, and also in freaking
The
Mater and the
Ghosts.
Ghostlight. Yeah,
Yep.
the Banshee
Banshee.
thing.
So good.
Yeah.
So the Banshee and that Frankenstein monster, Those are just one of those is the Hulk, one of those is Abomination. I'll have you decide which. It's great.
I'm gonna leave it to dealer's choice. Whichever you believe. Well, yeah, this one's a head canon.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, all of this is a head canon, but
Well,
this one
except for
is
anything
your head
we
canon,
say
listener.
for sure,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we
of
are the
course.
experts.
Mm-hmm. Are there any more superheroes who famously have a vehicle that we
The
could say
Green
are
Hornet.
just that vehicle? Yeah, he's just a car. Yeah, okay.
All right.
I mean,
Other vehicles.
Supergirl
Spider-Man does
is
have
just.
a spider, like spider dune buggy thing.
Oh, John, you shouldn't have. I love that. I love that.
It was short-lived because it didn't make any sense. Because in New York, swinging around from building to building will get you there really fast, but having a vehicle will get you there 2 hours late.
Yeah, yeah. Could it stick to buildings, or was it literally just a car?
Honestly, I think in some renditions it was just a car. Oh boy. Okay, so other vehicles. Okay, Ghost Rider. He's just a motorcycle.
Ooh, that okay. We had been sort of swinging and missing. We got it now.
We
That
got
one's
it.
good.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
and
mean,
there
I
are
want one of
multiple.
them to be a boat. So I'm gonna say Black Manta famously has a boat. The supervillain Black Manta, the
He's got a
Aquaman
submarine.
villain. Yeah, he's got a submarine, so he's that submarine.
Black Manta's a submarine, but then again, that's just Aquaman too, because we said Aquaman
Yeah.
was a submarine that had wheels.
Black Manta is a submarine that has a lot of weapons, but no other abilities, I guess.
And Aquaman is just
Aquaman,
a really, really powerful submarine car.
he can just run into you harder, I
Mhm.
guess.
And somehow go really, really fast underwater and talk to, I don't know, other
Whatever
boats
fish
and
are,
stuff.
we can't decide what fish are this episode, John.
So tune in next week for What's Under the Water.
What episode 41? What's fish?
What is fish?
I want to talk a little bit about the genre of superhero, like the Batman type,
I
who
was
are
gonna say
not.
that in like regards to their media, or were you just saying like uh how do they approach the dark and more noir heroes?
I was going to say more on like a concept of the superhero level of like they are people. They are normal people who have trained themselves to have great abilities and are like decked out, like the Batman Green Arrow type.
Yeah. I would just assume that they're all basically just spies without a government agency behind them. They've got
Yeah,
all the equipment and that's pretty much it. And somehow one of them becomes mayor of Star City, which makes so much sense, I guess. He's got like a harpoon
John's
gun
referring to
attached
the
to him.
Green Arrow.
Yeah. And his girlfriend's almost wife several times. She's just a car with a great speaker system that can vibrate buildings and glass to shatter.
She's DJ. She's DJ of the Delinquent Roadhogs. Man, I know too many cars from the Cars movies, but that is a car that exists in the Carsverse. He hangs out with Snot Rod. You know DJ.
Yeah, you know DJ. All right, so Lucas, I got a question that's gonna be a little bit perplexing.
Sure.
Dr. Fate's helmet.
Okay.
How does he put it
Yeah.
on? How does he take it off? What is it? Is it a helmet?
I'm going to real quick. I assume y'all don't know. Most of y'all don't know as much about superheroes as we do. Doctor Fate is like a person. He puts on a helmet and gets possessed by an otherworldly being, and then gets magic powers, like literal magic, as opposed to science magic that other super powered people have.
Uh,
That good enough
I
description of
guess.
Doctor Fate?
Yeah, pretty much. He's multiple people, all that jazz. His helmet is the helmet of fate, and it was created by Naboo, and I think oftentimes has Naboo in it.
Yeah, like talking to him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes just taking over his body.
he's a Lord of Order. Is that correct? Is
Hmm.
that a thing? Cool.
There are the magic gods of order and chaos, and he is of order, which does not mean he's a good guy. I need
No,
to emphasize that. Being orderly or being chaotic doesn't mean you're good or bad. It just tends to.
I'm going to say, I mean, my first thought is like a hood ornament, or like one of those things you put on like your radio antenna.
Okay.
is all I can like. They could be like a car hood or like rims or could be a lot of things. But those are my first things since they go like vaguely adjacent to your head.
I'm going to say something that's going to be hard to hear, hard to think about.
Okay.
What if he's a convertible?
Okay. Yeah, you were right about what you said.
He just puts on the back half of his head.
Okay. I don't like that, but we have seen in some early concept stuff they talk about going to like a convertible like restaurant that like they will be topless in.
Mm-hmm.
So convertibles could exist.
I mean,
I
wasn't
guess.
the eye salesman slash genital
Yeah.
salesman, wasn't she a convertible?
Yeah, the one from Cars 2 who eyes are in the wrong place. At the very least shows us that cars could have not brains there. So I guess that works. Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
John, I want to talk about Firestorm. He's two people that becomes one big person.
That becomes one big person. Well, I mean, we could Frankenstein it and be like, oh yeah, two cars crashed into each other real hard and fused together because of radiation.
And then they can undo that at any. Like, obviously, I don't want to say obviously because I'm taking a leap of logic here, but you could, like, engineer them together and, like, just make a Franken car, as you were saying.
You could
But they're
take the
able
engine
to.
out and put it into a different body.
Maybe. Who can say at this point? It's 2020. Uh, but you could. What I want, they can do it pretty quickly and at will.
Mm-hmm.
They can both fuse and unfuse when they want to be Firestorm and want to be two separate people. So I don't know, man. How's that work?
They're both motorcycles, and then they drive beside each other, and then the Firestorm Matrix turns them into a car.
You know what? That's a lot better than I thought we were going to do with that. So yeah, sure.
All right.
It would also work. Oh, you remember how in The Dark Knight,
He's got a
the
motorcycle that just
Batmobile?
is part of the Batmobile?
Yeah, because how Firestorm works a lot of the time is one of them is the body and one of them just like sort of the is also the brain. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't he
That's
doesn't
one weird thing that's very
retain
upsetting.
control.
Yeah, it's not one is the body, one is the mind. It's one is everything and the other one is just along for the ride.
Yeah, so I think that would work is what I'm saying
Mm-hmm.
with the Batmobile, a car like the Batmobile just having a motorcycle in it that can't really do anything
So
while they're
two motorcycles use the Firestorm Matrix to become the Batmobile.
Or one of them is just already the Batmobile, the other is the Batcycle.
But the one that
And
is
then
the
they
Batmobile can't drive because he's missing two wheels.
I think the Batcycle just sort of lives inside. I don't think it makes up either of the four wheels of the Batmobile. I could be wrong about
I
that.
think it does make up some of the wheels because what it does is it like transforms into it and just detaches. I feel like
guess. I don't remember
it just
that movie
detaches
well enough.
itself, and it's like he gets part of the machine to become a motorcycle.
So either way, that's what I want it to be.
we have been talking about superheroes and cars, and you mentioned cars that like heroes that are famous for having a vehicle.
I'm sure I've forgotten one that's obvious is what you're getting to.
And we still haven't said anything about Turbo Teen.
That's true. Okay. If you aren't aware, Turbo Teen is a very bad television show from like the 80s that had like 13 episodes. A child got like hit with some radiation and combined with his car, and then when he becomes warm or eats spicy food, he transforms into his car.
Yep. He is a teen who becomes a car, and that's the superhero is just he doesn't become a special car. He just becomes a car.
As the McElroy, I'm going to attribute this one fully to the McElroys because it's a fantastic joke. But he doesn't really have any more powers than a teenager with a car. Like he can just drive people places.
He's just a teenager who is a car. I will say he does have like one or two really strong advantages, and that is if someone puts him in a box to kidnap him, he can then
Yeah.
become a car and smash through the box. So that's
He has to
cool.
make himself warm first, though. He can't really control this.
It has to be a stuffy box.
Yeah, or he has to, like, I don't know, rub his arms. I
Produce some friction. He's a car that becomes a different car.
or again, it could be a motorcycle becomes a car if we want it to be small then big.
All right, but then I'm going to propose he's a forklift that becomes a car.
Much better. Thank that. Yeah, actually, much better. Thank you.
Lucas, when are we going to do a movie just about forklifts?
Honestly, that's a good point. It would be
It's
the
about a
materials all there.
it's about a plucky young forklift who doesn't want to be insert manual job that all forklifts have to do. No, he wants to be a racer. And in the end,
That's what
guess
they're all
what?
about.
He doesn't become a racer because guess what?
Love it.
Sometimes you're not going to just be able to do whatever you want, and you have to learn that. But you also have to learn to accept things, and you have to learn that it's okay to be who you are, and we should spread a positive message about that.
It's like a Monsters University kind of message. I love that. Have you
I
seen
mean,
Monsters University? That's sort of the plot of Monsters University.
Lucas, I have
Yeah.
watched probably a good 800 minutes of that movie.
It's too
I've
many.
never seen that movie.
Oh, was it on in the movie theater while you were there?
And even worse, I've like had to do so many theater checks where I just had to stay in there because a bunch of teenagers were being terrible. So I've just like
Mhm.
watched all of that movie completely out of order, and that's just it.
Yeah.
I may
That
have
that's
actually at one
that's
point watched the movie, but if I have, I don't know. And also, I've watched the movie so many times in bits and pieces.
yeah. That's the like theme or message of Monsters University is Mike wants to be a scarer like Sully is, but he's not actually good at it, but he learns to use his talents otherwise. It's a good message. It's a good movie.
It is a good
It's an alright
message,
movie. It's not my favorite.
but I will say they do undercut it by saying he's not good at scaring, and then he was actually kind of good at scaring in the end. He was never great,
Yeah, that's true.
but he was somehow actually pretty good. And then there was cheating that went on, and that's what happened and all this stuff, and he like people get kicked out for reasons. Spoiler alert. But at the same time of spreading this message of it's okay to not be good at the thing that you thought you were supposed to do or wanted to do because there are things you're going to be good at that you maybe haven't realized. But then it also undercuts it just slightly by saying, but maybe he is good at it.
But then it doubles back. It's like, but he's not going to do that. He's going to invent an entire new part of
He's going to become a
an
coach.
entire new job. Which, like, cool. He had something he was good at and invented an entire new profession around it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. But like, I don't know. Oh, I just wanted to say about Turbo Teen. I desperately want to do an full episode on Turbo Teen, but I searched for hours over the past 3 years, several different times, trying to find the episodes, and I can't find them anywhere.
I've
So
only
if one
done
of
it
our
maybe 2 or
listeners,
3 times, but I've spent probably also hours looking for Turbo Teen. I've watched 2 episodes, I believe.
yeah, I've found 2 episodes on YouTube. Probably assume the same two. There are
I
13
I
episodes of
think I
it,
watched 1 or 2 of them on Daily Motion.
something like that. Man, I don't know. If for whatever reason you know how to access Turbo Teen for some reason, please tell us. I desperately want to do a Turbo Teen episode.
We can't even find like DVDs that are just used DVDs somewhere. I guess maybe we should start looking for VHS of Turbo Teen.
No, I've looked for There is no recorded medium. I cannot find. They have never released it on DVD or VHS that I can find, which is bonkers. But I would love to do a vampire style episode on Turbo Teen. We
Absolutely.
haven't done the question from Liz yet.
All right, time
So
for a question from Liz.
you breathed in like you were gonna do the other part. Both of our significant others are named Elizabeth. That's the entire joke. They ask us questions. We don't tell you which one is which, but you pretty much know which one is which. This week, the entire question is masks.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. which I would expand to secret identities? Question mark.
Well, here's the thing.
Tell me the thing, Johnny.
El Matador wears a mask, and everyone knows who he is.
Yeah.
Underneath his
Certainly the
mask
case.
is another mask.
Is
That is
that
all.
true?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I think there's just a short bit when I came over, we watched a little bit the thing where he was doing that thing. He's like, and underneath his mask is another mask, and he just tears off his mask
Now,
real fast.
El Chup does, not El Matador. You
Oh,
said El Matador.
I said El Matador because L, and that's all I had to think about. And I was like, yep, L. I'll just say the first one because there can't be that many characters named L something because that just means the. And how many people have the title the?
2 in this universe, at least. Maybe
Yeah.
more. I don't know. But you are right. El Chupacabra from Planes does have a mask, and in the little Meet the Planes bit we talked about 2 episodes ago, I want to say, he one of his things was under my mask is another mask, which is they pulled it off, and that's true.
Yep, and there was a thing with Mater where he found his nose and then he put it back on. So like you can just take off parts of your face and put them back on, and people are still going to recognize you whether you remove your nose, put it back on, wear a mask on top of a mask, get a new paint job. I don't think masks are going to do much in this world.
Yeah, that's something I wanted to bring up. In this universe, you can change your entire paint job or get new parts. And like people weren't like, "Who is this man who is suddenly blue?" when Lightning was, suddenly blue in 2 different movies. No, just one. At the end of Cars 3. They're like, "Yeah, cool paint job, Lightning. I love it. It's a good reference to the Hudson Hornet, your mentor and friend."
And like, I gotta be honest, if like a friend of mine were to get just tattoos all over their body, including their face, it would take me a while to recognize them. And that's just changing, like, oh, there's now a pattern on your face. And that would still take me a while. When people get haircuts, sometimes it takes me a while to recognize them. And in this world, you can remove parts of your body, have different ones attached, and have your entire body change colors, and no one will know that, like, there's a difference significantly.
And people always make fun of like secret identities in superhero medium, which is not really something I ever got. Like, why would you think Clark Kent was Superman? Like, they look vaguely similar, but like, why would you think Superman was a human to begin with? Like, had a human version?
Yeah, and there's something, I think it's Superman Confidential, where they explain that when he's Clark Kent, he's able to actually like position different muscles in a different way because he isn't human, and what he does is he like makes it look like he's got a distended gut or something like that, to where he's got like a little bit of a beer belly and he's got a hunch, and his face looks a little bit different because the muscles in his face are being used differently. And on top of all that, they do the sci-fi nonsense explanation of, oh, his glasses have a material that make it impossible for you to recognize a face, which is why he's so forgettable.
But like, there's even like a very famous, like, I've seen it circulate around the internet a lot, a little clip of like Christopher Reeve's Superman, where he thinks Lois has figured out who he is, or is about to tell Lois who he is, and he's like in Clark Kent mode, and he fully just changes his posture and takes off his glasses, and it looks like 2 different people. It's one, incredible acting. Christopher Reeves was an incredible Superman. But like, I don't know where I'm going with this vis-a-vis Cars, but I guess it's just like, that wouldn't really work with Cars, huh?
It really wouldn't, because they can change so much and people will immediately recognize them. And that's with metal bodies that are not just like flesh. You can change the entire color, you can change probably even structural things to the like actual chassis of the vehicle. People still know who it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess they could do something super extensive to the point where like they, I don't know, fully changed out almost every part of themselves. But like we talked about with like Firestorm, they usually have to be able to do this very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for the non-superpowered ones like the Batmobile, I don't know, man. Batmobile looks like the Batmobile.
The Batmobile is a tank at this point. You're not gonna
Yeah.
just see a billionaire who is a tank who came in at the same time as the tank that's been beating up all the poor people. And you're just, oh, those are two completely different people because that car sleeps with all these women and that car is a tank.
And then tells them immediately that he's the Batman, usually. But
No, that's just the one he cares
Bat
about.
car.
And by the one, I do mean the one he cares about at that moment.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say that's a very famous criticism of Batman. Is the second he finds a woman, he tells him he's Batman.
Oh boy.
So to answer your question, I don't really know. Would they have secret identities even? Or would they just be would they be like people whose identities were public, like Iron Man in the MCU?
I'm gonna go ahead and say it's probably all of them are just Iron Men at that point of, oh yeah, I'm a superhero. Because why not? Why not?
Yeah, yeah. We said we would bring back up Mater at some point.
And we did several times.
No, yeah, we did. But what I was specifically thinking, we haven't really talked too much about supervillains. I think Mater would be like the ultimate supervillain in this universe, as we've discussed.
I don't know. I feel like he's definitely just like the Dr. Manhattan who's playing with everyone because he's bored.
Much better. As always, you took my idea, you ran with it. It was better. Yep. Dr. Manhattan has all these powers and just doesn't know what to do with them.
So
yep,
he
that's Mater.
Plays with these mortal fools.
Yeah, which is actually a storyline in recent DC Comics.
Mm-hmm. It just ended like within the past month or two.
And that's something I mentioned it very briefly earlier. That's how they justified like a continuity shift.
Mm-hmm.
It's a storyline I think is very funny because like Dr. Manhattan just was like, huh, Superman's important. What if I messed with how Superman worked? And he just sort of did that because he was bored, and that shifted all of the time space.
All right, I will say
pretty much
that is actually not what happened. Dr. Manhattan was manipulated by at that point I think Jor-El, but also not maybe actually Jor-El, maybe someone who was above Jor-El. So that's great. It's weird. And you did just describe Mr. Mxyzptlk. That's his whole thing, is he is a sixth dimensional being or a fifth?
I want to say fifth. I don't know for sure.
I think fifth sounds right because I think fifth is imagination.
Sure.
So yeah, his whole thing is he's a fan of Superman, so he tortures Superman to see how interesting things will happen.
Yeah, now that you've said that, you've improved my idea. You've already improved. I like Mater much more as a fifth dimensional being. Like, I can't say the Superman one, so I'm going to say Batmite, who is Batman's version of that character. I like that much more because, I don't know, Dr. Manhattan has so much angst, and that's not really Mater.
Yeah, Dr. Manhattan is a sad boy with just the most out there penis. And I like the happy-go-lucky, I want to have a fun time, joke, joke, laugh, laugh, fifth dimensional imp.
Yeah, that's much better. And I don't know, I don't want to see Mater's penis. I just don't want to do that. Nor do I want him to be, well, he was blue before he rusted. Okay.
Yep, he was blue before he rusted, so when he became powerful, he lost his blue. He's the anti-Manhattan.
Or he was already powerful when he was blue, and he maybe went through an angsty phase then, like an angsty Dr. Manhattan phase then, and then he was like, you know what, I'm just gonna mess with people, and then he let himself rust and be more of a, I'm going to try to say it, Mr. Mxyzptlk. That's not it.
That's close enough. If you were to say that at a comic convention, some like hyper nerd might be a jerk, but everyone else will immediately know who you're talking about.
Would be like, oh yeah, that's the little guy from Superman.
And I'd almost say most of the people would probably assume that your way was right and that they don't know how to say it.
Yeah, for a second would be like, oh gosh, have I been saying this? Oh no. That would be me at a comic convention. Well, one, I would be like, sure. I don't know how to say it. That works, obviously. That feels like a good end to the podcast. We talked about Mater and his ungodly powers, like we like to do. Sounds like a good place to cut it off for the week.
And as always, this has been, please, Mater, do not destroy us with your almighty powers.
Yeah, it sure has. Sorry we talked about superheroes and not cars for a lot of that. We like superheroes a lot, and it's our podcast, so I take back our sorry.
More like sorry, not sorry. I'm cool and hip.
You remember when that was a popular thing to say? It wasn't a good time. It's not a good time now. I'm sad. But anyway, thanks for listening, I guess. But not I guess. Thank you for listening. It was a very cool thing you did. I appreciate it a lot, and John probably does too.
I do. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, send us your
Yes.
emails. Please give us your suggestions. Any questions you have in general, anything you want us to talk about, please. We're happy to accept new material. We're just gung-ho about audience interaction. I want all of it all the time.
It's true.
So, is that everything?
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, if you do want to email us, it's thekachat@gmail.com, and our Twitter is @thekachat. Other than that, I'll just say John didn't do his facts this week, and I wanted to point that out. I didn't want that to be a thing that didn't get noticed.
All right. Here's the thing. So your fun facts...
you can do these off the dome. Yeah.
No, like I had thought of some before, but they're like, no, it's just comic book facts. Okay, so fun fact of the day. Superman was one of the first official superheroes that would be ever actually significant, and by that I do mean that publication wise it was before Batman. Even I believe it was started off in the 20s but may have been actually published in the 30s, would have been early 30s. And the original concept for Superman was a bald telepathic telekinetic man who was evil. That's your not fun fact of the day, I guess.
Okay. Well, good a place as any to end it. I'm Lucas.
And I'm John. Remember to float like a Cadillac.
Until
next time.
Sting like a beamer. Oh, shoot. What's happening?
See, I was doing a joke
Run
Run
it
back? Okay. Until next time, remember to float like a beamer.
And sting like a Cadillac, I guess. What joke were you doing?
I was just going to we would do the pause, and then I would just say what you said, and then I would just keep doing that. But then I decided, no, this is going to take way too long.
It's true. It already has. Bye!